And here we are. If you guys have a friend, bring them because it's a field trip today. You guys can sit in whatever seat you would like as long as you can handle it. Devices are optional, but please make sure you have your lunch packed. Make sure you have a beverage. Nick, what are you sipping on over there? I saw you move something.
Water,
Okay, same.
rabbit,
Yep.
rabbit water, space rabbit water.
Ooh, fancy. I mean, Doctor of Time and Space. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And on this episode, just to put it out there right away, and then we'll kind of build into it, we are going to be taking a live facility tour of the Dr. Nick's workspace, and you're going to see where the magic happens. You're going to see what is going to come in the future. You're going to see the whole kind of layout, and I'll talk about why we kind of had this idea today, and I was really appreciative when Nick said yes and jumped on it, quite literally as I pitched it last night. And so this is something that I'm excited about. So if you guys could share this, if you could legitimately just tell a friend, I think they're going to be interested, even if they don't have a beard, to learn and see where these products are made, because it's like this little sliver of life that most of us never get to peek behind. And so I'm very excited. I hope you guys are as well. Again, just check to see if you hit that thumbs up. This is the Dr. Nick's YouTube channel. My name is Dan. If you'd like to get involved in the chat, please subscribe to the channel. It's entirely free. Nick just had a new video up talking about the origins of the story, origin story of the company. He has videos on how to tie your beard in a knot like we both have today. There's a morning routine, there's a heat routine, and many, many more videos to come in the near future. So just give it a look, you guys. It's always appreciated. And I'm the co-host of this show. I love this company. I love their products. I love the people behind them even more. And I'm beyond excited about the future. And a massive part of that future, the present, and the past is the gentleman next to me. This is Nick Phelps, aka Master Phelps, aka the Doctor of Time and Space himself, aka the U.S. national, not reigning, because I think we had a year in. If we bent time and space, we could probably like make sure that put that loop together. But all in all, the man that loves art, the man that protects the world from the online lurkers that are trying to cause havoc to your bank and to your hospital, the man that will strike up a conversation in a room with anyone, anytime, who will enjoy a sandwich from time to time, who will enjoy working barefoot on some cars, who will enjoy going to a foreign country and living like a local. Please welcome the other host himself, Mr. Nick. Welcome,
Thank
sir.
you.
How you doing?
I want to go to another country and live like a local so bad right now. That's what I want to do right now.
I feel like you could write a song tonight about that.
Oh, I definitely could. I could. If it transport me somewhere else. I've been clicking my heels together, and it's just been bringing me back to the same old place. Take me somewhere new. Ruby slippers. I want to go. I want to go somewhere. Just yeah. I just want to go. I kind of just want to go. Disappear for maybe like a week. That's all I need. I just need like a week.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have this insane? And JB, you should put your beard in a knot as well. Join this guy's club here because you have the beard for it. Do you guys have an insane like heat streak coming next week? Because in the Midwest, we have like 95 starting on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a heat index in the hundreds. It's going to be filthy hot, filthy and humid.
I don't know. This is like that. I guess I haven't really looked at the weather for next week yet. I've been buried with a lot of this week stuff. This is it's been sort of like an all-consuming kind of week.
Yeah.
So I'm very, you know what? I'm the epitome of like head in the sand right now, actually.
Right.
Like it's kind of funny. I don't know much about what's going on like in the world right now. Like I would actually be a terrible interviewer right now, I think, because like I'd be like, so what's up?
Yeah, how's Michael Jordan doing? No, I hear you. My kids have soccer and like outdoor camp and stuff, so we have to be dialed into that so they don't like, have something bad happen. But it's and Jill says, I heard it's supposed to start Thursday, but that's according to my mom's weatherman. Okay. You gotta love
her
the
mom's
TV
weatherman, by the way, lives in a different dimension than the rest of us do. So
all right.
we don't actually know what's going to happen there.
And Abe says, it's always a sad day when I run out of my Dr. Nick's beard wash. Well, the beard wash sale just ended on Sunday, so hopefully you had a chance to restock. It looks like the sale went really well. I know that there's a bunch of scents on the shower products that are out of stock, and if I do remember correctly, Jill said that was the plan, right? They were going to run through it with the sale. The Dr. Nick's does not restock during sales, so just keep that in mind for the future. And what are we looking at about a week or two for a restock on most of those scents, Nick?
I think the plan, if I'm not mistaken, is we're basically, I think we're bottling end of this week, beginning of next week.
There you go.
If I'm not mistaken, I think a lot of the stuff is going to start popping back in stock next week.
That's what I thought too.
I believe I believe the way it's going is this is kind of a production catch-up week, and then kind of next week is like a restock week.
Okay. All right. And again, guys, today we are going on a field trip. We want to show you truly, literally behind the scenes of this company, and I hope that will lead to questions that you guys have, comments and observations, and have a full kind of discussion about the inside workings of a really legit beard product company. And this was my idea I pitched to Nick yesterday, and I hope you guys can understand how important that aspect is. This wasn't something that Nick was like, oh, I need to show this off, and please take everyone behind the scenes. I wanted to show it off for one reason. There's a lot of different companies out there, right? There's a lot of amazing companies, but you do start to see some things where accusations get made or things get thrown out about like, hey, it's a small batch company. Is it safe? Is it legit? And to give you guys kind of, again, would never say names, but there was a beard product company that has been in kind of a spiral lately because a former person associated with the company, they said their employee, came out and said, hey, these people are making it in their kitchen and it's not safe. There's things like chicken on cutting boards near the products. There's dogs running around all over where it's not in a sanitary area. There's been hairs. And they said, I worked there. And the company is claiming they're going to sue this person for slander. Well, this person has only gotten louder and said, oh no, I have evidence. I have pay. I have pictures. I have text and timestamps. I was there. I made products. I can prove it. And it's not a sanitary company. And so that got a lot of people being like, what's behind the scenes of some of my favorite companies? What is something I should be worried about? Is this a bad thing? I text Nick and said, hey, tomorrow, what are your thoughts on a field trip and showing all the stuff behind the scenes that you guys do and make? And he was like, let's do it. And so that's how simple it was, how transparent this company is, and happy to show everything that's going on. And that's kind of the concept. And then on the other side, I just think it's genuinely interesting, right? If you told me, hey, do you want to go take a visual tour of like a candle making shop that's small batch in your area? Yeah, I do. I find that very interesting. Okay, what about like a, I don't know, like a wood mill? Yeah, absolutely. That would be interesting. I just like learning about that type of stuff. And so we're going to kind of do that today. Nick, do you have like a general like outline of what we're going to do before we head down there?
Sort of. I figure what we'll do, so this is kind of funny. Like you said, right? This is pitched to us yesterday. So, and you know what? The funny, and I'll just say it too. I'll just throw it out there. The vibe I got when you asked me was very much like can we please just show people real quick what the inside of a small batch beard products company is supposed to look like? I'm trying to answer questions and I'm trying to tell people, can we just show real quick what like a sanitary clean facility is supposed to look like? And I was like, I mean, that's what we have. So sure. Yeah. If you want to go walk around what I find very boring and see every day, yes, absolutely. We can do that. And so it very much is for us. It's boring. It's a chore to keep a place clean. The room is the room that we do things in that we don't share with people, right? So when I walk someone through a room in the parts that I can show and share, it's just it's our sterile little bubble. That's just it's our lab, right? Where everything kind of happens. But it's interesting to us. It's something that we see every day. But I can understand, like from everyone else's standpoint, right? It's not what they see. And also the picture that gets painted of what maybe their mind's eye sees is often very different than what we have here. Yes. So, it's like, And I wish we had like Wonka down there, right? Like I wish it was like, Wonka candy, and there was like, like bubble machines and like an arcade and all kinds of cool stuff. And it's like, is this like a Silicon Valley startup or no? Unfortunately, doing production with a repeatable process in a sanitary environment for products that go on humans, doesn't lend itself to a very jovial environment from like a motif standpoint, right? It's very much a lab. And so what we're gonna do is I figure I'll walk you guys down through into the production area where we kind of do everything, where everything's shut down today. It's not a production day, so it's a good day to do it. And we can basically show the area where things happen, kind of show you around as far as like a stations and layout kind of standpoint goes, and show you where some things happen. And we'll kind of stop, I figure, in the production room and do some Q&A in there and just kind of talk. I'll find we have a little workstation down there I can stop at with the little mobile tripod here, and then kind of do the same maybe over in our shipping and receiving area, and just kind of talk about how we've streamlined some of that process, and talk about Shelly a bit, and kind of talk about how she's sort of taken that over and what she's kind of done to streamline that fulfillment side of our business, which is awesome. So, that can probably be sort of just a quick production and a quick shipping and receiving, and we can probably do a good just kind of chunk of the stream hanging out down there. Oh, yep. You can hang out and look at the really cool Dr. Nick's maple shipping and receiving table. That's now been like the tank of that room. I'm pretty sure this building could blow away in a hurricane, and that table would still be bolted to the ground in there.
And so I think that's a good time and transition, because I've actually been in this building, you guys. I've spent like the day there and got the tour and everything. It's super cool. It's a very unique building. So before we go on this tour, Nick, if you could touch on the uniqueness of the building, especially like the parts on the ceiling stuff that are freaking wild, and then kind of how you got into this position in this building, and just, all that kind of background information for anybody that doesn't know the story of why you're here and kind of how it's transpired over the years.
Yeah. So we kind of relaunched Dr. Nick's in 2018 in a space down in Plymouth, Massachusetts, down near the waterfront, actually like right across from Plymouth Rock. And so when we quickly outgrew that space. It was tiny. I mean, it was like, it was like an 800 square foot rental. I think it was a tiny little parcel. And so we were outgrowing that space. My other business was also outgrowing it. We needed more server space. We needed a place for shipping and receiving and fulfillment and lab space for Dr. Nick's. So we were looking for a place right in the middle of the pandemic. It was terrible time to be looking for office space, because all these small spaces were getting rented up by people that were moving out of the city and kind of working remote. And you even had like little groups of people that were renting out small 2,000 square foot office spaces and like pooling it together just to all have a place close to home to work that wasn't their home, but wasn't the city. So it was tough. And so when we finally found a place, it was a guy who was selling the building that it was an 8,600 square foot building, the building we're in now. And he was going to be renting out this little, I think it was like a 2,500 square foot section of it. And he was going to sublet it out to multiple people. And so we were just about to finalize the lease, and he decided to sell it. He decided not to rent it out multi-tenanted after all. And so we kind of fell in love with the space before that happened, though. So we ended up just working with him to buy it, and we bought the whole building. So instead of upgrading from 800 square feet to maybe 2,500, we upgraded from 800 square feet to 8,000. And we had to fill the space with other stuff ever since. So we've like the bottom floor now is leased out to a guy who runs a business called Plymouth Live Edge. And Plymouth Live Edge specializes in retail sales of ornamental and otherwise live edge wood materials, slabs, everything from wood slabs all the way to whole chunks of trees. So that's about 3,600 square feet of it downstairs taken up. Dr. Nick's takes up the other 3,600 square feet on the main floor. And then my consulting business and software company that I do in the cybersecurity space takes up the top remaining space in the loft areas and some server space. So Dr. Nick's kind of had this gigantic space to grow into in 2020. You know, it was 3,600 square feet, and it was vastly empty for a long time. And since then, we've filled it up. Right, we have over 1,200 square feet dedicated to production, and because we do everything in house. This is where we take everything from raw butters, oils, and do all of our blending and all of our mixing, formulating, bottling, packaging, labeling, and then right next door in the other room, another 1,000 square feet, is all shipping and receiving and fulfillment. So between those two main spaces and some office spaces for Jill and other work areas, it's largely those two spaces, and it's now all the way filled up, right? Like we now are having to figure out, like, when we make our next expansion from a volume standpoint, we're going to have to expand from a shared shipping and receiving and stock room to potentially more of a dedicated stock room. So it's growing yet again as we bring soaps more in-house. That process is expanding into a dedicated soap space that's still an empty space right now because of ridiculous plumbing permits, but that's another story. And so it's that's kind of how it came to be, though. It was vastly accidental, right? It was a space that we fell in love with at a bad time and ended up turning into a really cool space, way more than we needed, and it, I think, afforded us the chance to kind of grow a bit more than we would have had we had the space restriction, right? Definitely a larger shell than we needed, but it's been working.
Yeah, and Jill says, I remember the days when I used to have production and shipping and receiving in the same room and her office.
Yeah, it was, and I can't even imagine that now. Like, trying to even, like, I just wrap my head around how that ever actually worked. You look at, like, what's happening now, and as you watch it grow organically, it doesn't seem that much bigger. It's like when you see someone's kid, it's like a friend from high school or something, and you see their kid when their kid's like 3 or 4, and then you see their kid again when they're 12, and you're like, whoa, you got huge. And meanwhile, their parents see them grow, the whole time, and they're like, yeah, I mean, they're smaller than some of their friends. It's not that big, and it's like,
yeah,
it's just one of those weird perception things where you see it evolve and you don't realize how much it's grown. And then you think back and you see photos and you're like, oh, dear God, how did we can't even store like our bottles in a room the size that we were in before.
It's crazy. Like, and what was it? G Squared said, so it was a good move in hindsight. And then he said, you kind of answered it. So yes.
Yeah, it definitely was. And, and it's interesting. I hope that this space, I hope that the building hangs on through the next transitions of corporate restructuring and all sorts of things that are happening on the other side of my businesses, portfolios that we work on, right? But
right.
Who knows if my software company does what it might do someday, maybe Dr. Nix will have a new roommate in this building, and hopefully that roommate isn't anybody new. Maybe it's just a new entity. Maybe it's just us doing new things with the space. I kind of hope that the space just remains us and the one tenant we have downstairs. We might end up renting out more space as we need to, but as of right now, it's just us in here and the one guy downstairs, Thatcher, and he's like a perfect personality fit for like the building. So it kind of just feels like it's friends and family in here, but at the same time does feel like a very much, it's a, like you said, there's a lot. And to go back to what we were talking about in the beginning, there's a lot going on about, like, where's this stuff made? What are people doing? And based on what you're saying, that I don't concern myself with a lot of that stuff. And so I hear a lot of it from like everyone here and you.
Yeah, I didn't even tell Nick any of it.
What's that?
I said I didn't even tell Nick any of it.
It's yeah, and that's the crazy part is, like, I hear like little bits of it, and I'm like, oh man, that's like vastly different than how we do things. Yep. So I am happy to show that side of it where people just want to kind of get a visual in their head about where some of the stuff they use comes from. I think this will really do a good job of doing that because
good.
I think it's pretty different.
really nice comment here from New Beginning. He said, "Thank you and Mr. Dan C for having us bearded people. Even though I had a beard for 3 years, I appreciate any advice, information, just anything on beard maintenance. Thank you, both of you, for doing so. Never came across such helpful individuals."
Oh, well, I thank you, sir.
Super nice, man.
Speaking of, before we go on this tour, speaking of nice individuals, hold on here.
And hey, Ryan, he said, Dan, did you get any sleep after? Yeah, I sleep super well. Sleep's never an issue for me. I don't get a ton of it, but I sleep well. Oh, you got one too?
Boom.
Nice.
So Arden here in the chat, I think, is he here today?
He was earlier. Yep.
Yeah, I think I did see him earlier, right?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
here.
Arden, thank you so much for this thing, man. This thing is nice. So Arden sent this thing out, and it is an awesome toiletry bag. It's got a really nice liner in it too. Really like the inside of this thing. Nice little keychain along with it. Dr. Nick's on there. So thanks a bunch, Arden. Much appreciated, my friend. That thing is very, very cool. It'll definitely get a lot of good use.
Yeah, I love how soft it is. I love the cushioning on it. And then like that bottom zipper panel is really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Really, really cool.
Love it.
Okay. All right. Got it. Are we ready to move?
I think so. Let's see if we can get this. You want to drop both of them out for a minute,
Yes,
and then
sir.
we'll pop this one back on once it's working.
Yes, sir. All right. And everybody, if you guys don't mind, please consider checking to see if you hit that thumbs up. There is a little bit more work that goes into a show like this for Nick to set up the tripod and the mobile phone, and we have to do a lot of checking beforehand to make sure everything works correctly. Now, you just listened to Nick for about 20 minutes. His audio is going to be different on the new device because it's a different mic. It's different audio. The idea is that we're getting the content, we're consuming all of the stuff that's free, valuable, hopefully entertaining information. So just give us a little bit of kind of grace and understanding that the audio differences are going to happen. But we are very, very excited to be able to show you guys what's going on here. And Jill says, I just picked up Sir on my lunch break on our way back to the office now. Awesome. I love that. Just shared to the story along with the knot. Nice. Okay. All right. Nick's getting everything set up for this tour, everybody. And then we will have time for Q&A. And if they pop up while Nick is talking, I'm going to star them, and then I'll be able to bring them in whenever it is time. And so if you guys have questions as they come up, please drop a comment, and I will be able to feed those to Nick, or I can field them myself sometimes during like the question segment. So this should be pretty fun. If you guys are just tuning in, we are about to go on a mobile tour of the Dr. Nick's facility where they receive ingredients, where they make products, where they ship products, and the whole deal. And then Nick is getting dialed in. Whenever you're ready, Nick, just give me a long thumbs up, and then I'll get you plugged in. All right, we're going to try it here now, guys. And there will be times where he's going where I might fall off the screen and have him. There might be times where we're both on there. So just ride with us and enjoy the field trip. All right, mic check. Can you hear me, Nick?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Mic check. I can hear you.
Sounding great.
Sweet. All right. Well, we'll leave the familiar background we're used to, and we'll go. And here we go. So this building is kind of built like an upside down boat. It's made out of these giant beams. You kind of walk across the catwalk, so you can see here, but it's really cool. You know, it's like as you walk through the building, you see the beams behind me. They're like these giant laminated ship beams. And it's pretty cool. It's got like catwalks and loft areas kind of everywhere. And it's just a really neat layout. Whoa, it's actually a really cool shot there. I should do my live streams from here from now on.
That's so cool.
Like, forget my normal background. Like, this is a way cooler background. I should just be hanging out in the hallway from now on. All right, well, enough of that. We'll come downstairs. Let's see here. So this kind of shows just the weird wooden nature of this whole building here. You kind of look upstairs, and it's just got a really interesting build to it. You know, it's a really weird layout. It's like half normal modern building and half old mill beams. Like, you look back over here. Turn that way. It's so hard to point. It's like my normal camera is like one way, and this thing's a total other way. But you kind of see these things. It's that they go all the way from the basement into the loft, and I can't even imagine what it would cost to build a building with wood like this these days. It would be astronomical. But we'll walk this way, take you guys back through where we receive a bunch of stuff and shipping and receiving, kind of like intake of bulk stuff. So this big room back here, we kind of bring stuff in from the front. We have from the back door and the front door kind of meet there. So that's where a lot of stuff sort of comes in. And what I'll do is flip the camera just around for a minute. And I'll kind of just give you guys like at least an overview of the whole area. Let's see. So here you go. Kind of look around, do like a big 360 around the building here, around the production room a little bit. You kind of just see, this gives you an idea, just a room lined with stainless steel tables, big commercial refrigerators, big tables, and lots of bottling machines and labelers. And so if I'll turn this around and walk through. This is where everything happens, right? So this is every oil that we sell is blended and bottled, packaged, labeled here. Our butter is melted down from bulk butters that we bring in. That's all again right in this room. So anything that you end up getting from us that's in a package ends up getting from bulk raw materials into retail packaging, start to finish, all in this room. So we've started with small scale stuff and moved up kind of over the years where we used to have hand driven bottling machines. And now, now we have pneumatic driven bottling machines that are semi-automated that can run through 20 gallons in, a couple hours. Right. And so it used to, you look at oils for us, we used to do hand cranked, hand pumped conical bottle fillers that we bought on Amazon, right? But now you look at the way this, you look here now, and just to like point out, you have stations of dedicated 8-foot tables that used to kind of be, our whole company used to be on one, right? Or it used to be on one of these 8-foot tables. It was one of these stainless steel tables in this room, I think, is probably bigger than the one table we had when we relaunched this company in 2019. And so everything that now is these individual stations you see, one for labeling, one for just producing and melting down and dividing up and melting down butter, right? That's the area that we now produce beard butter, for example, is definitely the exact same size as the area where we used to produce every single one of our products and label them and pack them and ship them. And so as we've evolved, we kind of took each piece of the process and we peeled it out and we made it its own little space with its own equipment. Every area has its own sanitization process because every product we make is a little different on what's in it, what you need to clean it, how you need to clean it, what's left out on the space versus what's put away each time. So if you think about it, for people that outsource the production to co-packers, I mean, some of these co-packers are just butter facilities. Some of them are just liquid process facilities. So if you think about it, we really do sort of have like an oil production facility, a soap production, or really not even so much soap as wash and surfactant based washes, right? And then you look at where we do balms and where we then do the dry side of the process with labeling and packing and all that stuff. I think it's almost like, if you had to think about it, kind of like 5 different companies there, because you have a lot of different types of processes and a lot of different types of equipment. So I think the way it grew, kind of getting each area set up on its own and treating each space kind of like its own little world, it works pretty well because we're able to tell when certain things are getting too busy for the space they have, and we can kind of grow things modularly, which is nice. but at the same time keep controlled chaos, right? Because I think chaos is where things like to hide, like things that can cause sanitization issues, and stuff that other people out there are experiencing right now. It's a lot of those struggles come from confined spaces, I think. So I think to the point of, was it a good move to move into a big space? I think it was in a lot of ways from a growth standpoint, but also just from keeping things very, you know, sanitary, process driven, um, having the clean, open space, and not having things cramped on top of ourselves, and having everything just sort of spread out and open has really made, I think, a world of difference in how we are able to maintain sort of the aesthetic and cleanliness and sort of the lab environment, and even though we were growing.
That's awesome. All right. Can you hear me well with timing?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Good, good, good. Okay. Couple of things as we go here. Any ideas for now? This would be nowhere near the front of the list. Dr. Nix has a good wish list going on, but any thoughts of a travel bag in the future for Dr. Nix?
Oh yeah, we have behind this camera. I can't turn the camera where it is right now and show you things because of uh, privacy. But there's probably at least 2 boxes of luggage bags over here that are samples that we've ordered logos on, that we've ordered material swatches of, and all the ones that we can get. It's like, yes, we could do it to do it, but I hate doing things just to do things. Like, I want one that I like, that I would actually use. And I haven't found one of those that comes from any suppliers that we can do it in bulk with yet. So,
Okay. All right. And then,
yes and no.
if there's ever a time where it's not possible, everybody understands. But Ryan wants to know, are you able to show the labeling process or the oil labeling machine that was made for you guys or anything like that?
Yeah. So I can actually. One of the machines that we still use is a machine that we had custom made, that we've done in a video before, and it's so we have someone who comes in that does nothing but labeling these days, and he still does it with this machine, because it's
So
still
cool.
it still works. So I can actually bring you right
And
over here.
tell the story of this guy and this, because I got to play with this thing, you guys, and the guy that makes these and like his whole like career, it's so dang interesting. So
Whoop.
dang interesting.
Let me try to restart the gimbal here.
Look at those beams all the way through the building. Someone said they're kind of church-like.
They are. It very much is like a church. People that have seen it here, they're like, was this, were they doing masses in here in the 80s? Like,
beard mass.
yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can tilt this down
Oh
enough where you
yeah.
can see it. I think
Oh,
you
that's
can.
perfect.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think actually. Let's see if I can get this thing to face the right way. Yeah, maybe. There we
Sit.
go.
Good boy.
Now stay.
Stay.
It's not gonna stay.
It's just wanting to do its own thing.
Okay, well, here it is.
There we go.
We have part of it right here anyway.
That's
So,
perfect.
hey, cool. So I think so this guy, we found this guy because, as you guys know, our bottles are square. So we have these wonderful square bottles that we've all come to know and love, that really no one in the world feels like dealing with from an automated labeling machine standpoint for anything less than about, $80,000. So we found this guy out in New Mexico. I believe he's in New Mexico, right? Yeah. And so this guy's great, and I'll plug him a million times, and I will for the rest of my life. It's Race Label Company is the name of this guy's company, right? Race Labeling Concepts. You go to racelabel.com. So this guy, he he's a retired aerospace engineer, and he started in his retirement started making popcorn that he was selling at state fairs, and he started making like a lot of popcorn. And so he started bagging it. So he started bagging this popcorn, and it got too busy. So he needed a good way to do labels, and couldn't find a labeler that he liked. So he made, being an aerospace engineer, he made his own labeling machine for his popcorn bags. And so he's sitting there at the state fair and he's banging through bags of this popcorn through this other labeling machine that we have over here that he made. It's his original little red one. And this guy, people started asking him, they're like, hey, where'd you get that label machine? And he made them. So he started making more label machines for people who started asking him for them based on seeing him use his at the state fair. So he started getting so busy making label machines that he had to then retire from his retirement of making popcorn to make label machines. So he moved on and he started this company, Race Labels, and he makes weird label machines for things that typically can't have label machines made for them. So if it's something that can typically be labeled, he makes one better. I promise. Like if you have a label machine that's semi-automated now for anything, you'll like this guy's better because he makes them. It's all aircraft aluminum, stainless steel hardware, way over engineered. Like they'll last forever. They'll never corrode or rust or squeak or anything else. They're fantastic machines. And so when he makes you one, if he sets something up custom, he makes you a YouTube video about how to use it. And it's not like he sends you like a private YouTube video. He just publishes it on his public YouTube channel. So like you just get a link to his public YouTube along with everyone else's instructional videos that's ever ordered a label machine from him. And he uses your first and last name. He's like, okay, Nick Phelps, here you go. Like we got you set up right here. And this is how you're going to use it with your square bottles, So it's like our instructional video when we bought this damn thing is probably out there on his YouTube somewhere showing how to use our square bottles on his machine, but it's in like his workshop. So
that is hilarious.
If you ever see someone applying a Dr. Nick's label to something, on YouTube, and it's not someone in this shop, it's probably the guy that made us this label machine. You just happen to find his video.
That is so cool. So dang cool.
Awesome guy. Here, let me take you guys from in here. Let's take another little trip.
Yes.
And we will go into our shipping and receiving room. We'll go into Shelly Land. Now, I will make it just perfectly well known ahead of time that I am not touching anything of Shelly's. Okay. Shelly can know that I didn't touch anything of hers in the making of this video. And there is no reason to yell at me when she comes in.
Room. And real quick, a couple of comments on it, but Zach says, what was the Van Halen thing hanging on the wall? I believe that was a flag gifted by Dan B, if I'm not mistaken.
That is a flag gifted by Dan B. Yeah, hanging proudly on the wall. Right in the production room where it's lived ever since he gave it to us.
But look at this room. This is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So, this plate, this is so it's our shipping and receiving room, but it's also Shelly's office and it's also our stock room. And there's more of it that way. But if you kind of, if you look down this table here that I'm at, you guys are like 3 feet in on the table where the camera is, and it's a 14-foot long table.
Jeez.
That I put together a while back, made out of 2-inch thick maple. This design that's here in the middle, I threw it when it wasn't. Actually, it was. Yeah, I actually CNC'd it while it was assembled. This part wasn't glued to it yet, so I CNC'd it with this part glued onto it. And then I glued up the rest of it and then assembled the, rest of the table. But this is all CNC'd in here with black epoxy, filling it in. It's like, it does not move. Like if I like lean on this thing, like the camera right now is not shaking probably. I can barely see the screen because it's a little far away, but like this thing does not move. It's
right.
What's
your estimate on weight?
The top on this, I'd say 350. Yeah, I'd say about 350. It was not fun to move it in here. And what I ended up doing is instead of resting it just in the room, I ended up getting conference table legs that have like the mountable cups that go on the floor underneath. So this thing's bolted into the floor on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. It's two on each end, two down the center, and it's bolted into the floor. And so, like I say, like if you bump into this table hard enough to shake it, like you feel it in other parts of the building because it shakes the floor.
When you said the weight, Dennis said about right.
Yeah, yeah,
He's had a hand on it before, I assume.
yes. I believe he has. Did we sucker you into helping us move it?
It's what it sounds like.
Oh,
I
I
feel
think maybe we did. I'm sorry. Oh boy, yeah, yeah, that might be a thing. That might have happened.
that is
Um,
hilarious.
but so what's neat about it being a shipping and receiving room though is if you look back, like here, for example, like this area, can you still see me?
Oh yeah.
So like this area here goes all the way up through, so like past the second floor, all
Wow.
the way up to the roof of the second floor through like a big loft area, and there's skylights up there. So this is all natural light that comes down through here.
Wow.
And so it doesn't really, it's not like your typical, stuffy in the back of a warehouse somewhere, shipping and receiving room.
That's amazing. Absolutely. I love this table. I love this room. This is freaking cool. Super cool.
Yeah, just like
And
upstairs. I feel like we should live stream down here more. This desk is
I
way cooler than mine upstairs.
well, upstairs is cool too. I like the background and the lights, but the switch up is awesome. And G Squared, so G
Oh yeah,
Squared
it's a nice
loved,
little variation.
yeah, he loved that labeling machine and calls it, right, kind of like the low tech compared to the $80,000 options that are out there. Is there anything else that's
Hmm.
similar to that you guys are like, yeah, we use this, it's pretty low tech and might surprise people?
What else is a low tech? I would say that our bottle filler is low tech, but it's the same exact peristaltic pump bottle filling machine that everyone else uses. Like, how even when plays, it's funny. I've noticed in our industry, look at how until you're like, until you're Procter Gamble, right? You look at some of the bigger players of the small companies in our industry, and you look at videos of them like in their production room, and you still see them with like this big production table of bottles with like the little needle filler where it's got like the nozzle on the handle, and they're like bam, 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 and they're
Yep.
going through the bottles. It's just so funny that no matter how many fancy bottling machines any of us buy, I see Octane, I see everyone still sitting there with latex gloves, headphones in, bam, 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 bam,
Everyone.
filling. And so what I can safely say is I used to think that our method of peristaltic pump, like dialysis machine style pump filling machines was like low tech. It's not. Everyone does it because it's the only thing that works reliably across multiple viscosities of oil.
Yeah,
it's
truly.
it, if you calibrate something on a Monday to work with lime zest, citrus fruit, pine, and on Friday you're bottling peppermint rosemary, that calibration is going to not matter
Yeah.
anymore.
And
It's
Jill says
bizarre.
they're the most accurate. She swears.
They are. They're the most accurate. So like, yeah, I guess that's a little, that can be surprising. Our there's probably there I think probably our just our propensity for making sure that our stuff is accurate and not trying to have pieces of equipment that go to waste. I think a lot of our stuff maybe has a little more manual intervention than a lot of other places. Like if you look at like here, I'll bring you over here. If you look at, for example, like our bottling machine here, like this guy, just like a brewery would have triple clamps to keep everything sanitary, right? We do, even if we're having a smaller machine, we still have all triple clamp fittings, and everything is, sanitary fittings with triple clamps, silicone gaskets on everything, all stainless steel, all on silicone. So it's like anything that touches the product is stainless steel, silicone, silicone, stainless steel, stainless steel, stainless steel. Right. And if you look across our production area, it's all like that. But if you look at like our bottle filling machines, these are all pneumatic, no liquid drives, no gear drives, no moving parts, no open seals. So like even though a machine like this, might be a semi-manual machine, you look at the parts that go into this, right? Like these are not home lab pieces of equipment. Like these things are industrial process equipment that's been shrunk down to handle semi-automated process handling. But like you look at it and everything is still sealed, bearings, silicone food process end caps on everything. Um, Everything that runs on sanitary pneumatic vacuum closed systems. And that all runs through external diaphragm pumps. So, you know, it's one of those things where people say, like, is there is there something small that you'd be surprised on? Like, I think some of that stuff to me is surprising just because of like the manual part of the process that's involved with it. But I think what also might be surprising to some people is that, although we're doing stuff at a sometimes smaller scale, we're still doing things very much in the same way that you would do them at a large scale, um, for a couple reasons. One is that way we know that the regulations and the guidelines that kind of go into um, making sure that large scale manufacturing facilities are safe, you know, we can then follow those same guidelines because we have the same type of equipment and the same sorts of things that that we can relate to their processes. Also, so that we can scale it, right? If we're using things that are kind of modeled after industrial scale products, but we're doing it at a smaller scale, as we need to ramp those things up, we don't need to change really how we do it. We just change the piece of equipment that we're using to do it with, right? So that way we don't need to culturally change the process per se. It's more like a tactical change, not a strategic change, right?
Love that.
And so, but you can see in there, it's that, are we at the same volume as like a company that's doing, 1,000 different SKUs and 10 million plus a year in sales? No. But is there anything in there that is like from our witch doctor days or like screams like trunk slammer? No. Like, is there any wooden spoons and 5-gallon buckets in there? Absolutely not. Like, is there porous materials that touch or ABS rubber that comes into contact with hot liquids? No, right? There's things that like I think smaller companies that are coming up right now are gonna make the mistake of doing because things are expensive to do right. And until you do them wrong, it's kind of hard to know how to do them right unless you've seen it done right before. Um, and so, thankfully, I grew up around my process world, around breweries. So like my first taste of like doing something with liquids and transferring liquids and using pumps and hoses and cleaning things and sterilizing, that was back in the days when I was brewing beer and I was hanging out at a bunch of friends' breweries. And so I got used to like nothing moves from one vessel to another past anything that can store bacteria. And that includes things with threads or plumber's tape or
Hmm.
the wrong type of plastic or a nozzle or a sprayer, right? And unless someone's worked in like a real process controlled environment, you might not know that. So like you
Right.
look around our shop over here and you're like, how come everything that has a surface is stainless steel? How come everything is silicone? How come there's an air gap between anything that's how come there's no threaded fittings? How come everything has these crazy loop around clamp fittings that go on everything and all these silicone hoses? It's all for this simple goal of, and it really is a weird, simple goal of there is not a crack or a crevice or a surface that's in that place that cannot be sanitized between each step of everything we do. And unless you can say that, you really can't guarantee that you have a sanitary, properly manufactured product.
That's
Simple as
amazing.
that.
And there's so many companies that that mean well, but might not even know those things. And
Right.
with
It's
you,
not, yeah.
yeah, with you growing up around the brewery scene, their burden of sanitization is much higher than cosmetic. And
Oh, yeah.
so you're learning at a very high threshold and you're able to bring it to this. If it's good enough for the food and beverage industry, it's going to always clear the cosmetic industry as well.
And that's what it is. And everyone that's come in to see what we do, they've always asked if something we make is edible. So like the funniest, so like think about the things that you've heard that we've been hearing now about like other places that are circling out there, right? When people, and this is from like building inspectors, plumbing inspectors, license and town and zoning officials have come into this building and they say, are you sure you guys don't make anything edible? Why are you
Right.
going to these lengths if you're not making anything that's human consumable? They don't even say edible. Like there's places that they say that make like dog treats in the area, for example, that don't follow nearly the process that we do for keeping a clean facility.
I
And that
fully
just
believe it.
blows. Yeah. And so like if you get people that come in your facility and say, so you make food, where's the kitchen and grease traps? Like if they assume you're making food and that you're clean enough to do it and that's why they're there, then like you're doing something right.
Yep, that's awesome. And yeah, Jill's just piggybacking and saying we had the benefit of following the food industry standards before this, which has been great. And kind of same deal. As long as you follow those, everything's going to fall in line underneath that. It's awesome.
That's it. I mean, Jill ran, she ran bars, and you talked about a place that serves alcohol is under more scrutiny than just about any type of
Right.
restaurant that's out there. So it's
As it
like,
should.
yeah. And so
Yep.
she had to, she was used to keeping those types of wet areas clean. And you combine that with just the two of us came together, I think, with the right mix of stuff where like we are super duper picky about
Yes.
how things work in there.
All right, more lightning mode for these questions as we're getting low on time. But PPE, we've shown some of this on the Dr. Nick's Instagram page with Jill filling bottles and stuff. Is there anything that you guys do to wear to make sure you're being sanitary in production?
Yeah, it's all aprons and gloves, and it's that's no one touches anything in there on a production day or really even comes in there to do much unless they're wearing gloves.
Yep.
And anyone that we don't know in there, we have people wear masks. It's just one of those things where it's just a clean environment. So you do whatever you would do. Think about a commercial kitchen where you're doing food prep, or
Yep.
think of what it is actually. Think about a tattoo shop, right?
Mm.
Very, very similar. Like we don't touch anything with bare hands. It's been sanitized, just like you wouldn't with something that's in a tattoo shop. So it's very similar.
There you go. And then Abe, so he said the woodworking part of the business. Nick doesn't know this yet, but we are going to take a field trip on a future week, possibly next week. And Nick has something else brewing in his life right now, a
Oh yeah.
hobby, a new lane, a new possible adventure, and it involves the woodworking. And he's been very passionate about it. And as a not speaking on working together here, but as a friend side of things, it's been so cool to see what it does for him on the mental side of things. And so, Abe, stay tuned. We're going to do a full dedicated day to the woodworking in Nick's new adventure.
Yeah.
Nick doesn't know it, but that sound good, Nick?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got some more. Speaking of OSHA, I got some more wires to get off the floor down there. Once those are good to go, we'll walk through it.
There we go. There we go. And your mom, hi mom, says,
Hi, Mom.
how do various parts get sanitized? And that's a great question because we saw parts that were out, we see parts drying and that type of stuff. What do you guys actually use to sanitize the stainless steel or the silicone?
So there's a number of cleaners that are in our kitchen. So Shelly, in addition to Shelly's shipping and receiving job, she is like the cleaner of all things sanitary. And on top of that, and her other job is working in a restaurant again. So Shelly's used to working in a restaurant, and she knows what it takes to keep things clean. About things need to air dry and open moving air. You don't see anything sitting upside down with steam collecting in it, for example. So just your typical antibacterial washing processes that you would do in a kitchen between soaking off oils, stripping them out, and then letting things most importantly is air drying. That's like one of
Yep.
the most important parts of sanitization is, getting things all the way clean, removing any material, and then letting things air dry to sanitize the rest of the way.
Do you
So that all
use
happens in the kitchen.
do you use alcohol on any parts or products or anything to sanitize?
Yeah, there's certain things that are small that are little orifices that go on hoses or other things
Yep.
that need little brushes that then get alcohol and sanitized. There's the I think the best part about like you look at like a lot of our glassware, it's regular antibacterial dish soap that a lot of it uses because it's all glass. And so you think about how you'd sanitize glass in a normal kitchen, it's the exact same process. And so if we had more stainless steel, like if we had more big tanks, we'd probably use things like Star San. And Star Sand's like a real common one. Auto Ban is a really another popular one that's for like flooring, and those things. Roto Ban, but the Star Sand, for example, that's really made if you're like mostly metal with a little bit of glass. Otherwise, places that are mostly glass process really like antibacterial soap, especially an antibacterial degreasing soap is really the best way to get it, so because you can see it.
Yep. And one thing that you guys have talked about many times, Jill put in there too, the hypochlorous acid.
Yeah, and so that's like what is in the Shelter and Face, our beard sanitizer. It's like the best. It's probably the best like volume sanitizer for big surfaces that really exists out there. Restaurants use it in foggers, and they hit their whole
Yeah.
kitchen walls,
Schools
floors,
too.
counters, everything with it. Oh yeah,
Hospitals.
schools just walk through and hit the whole everything.
Yep. Entirely. And Ryan, if you could explain what you mean by this, I'm not sure I fully followed to pitch it to Nick, but he said, any chance that we could sponsor you, Nick? So Ryan, in terms of what you mean there, spell it out, and Nick will be able to help. And Jill kind of hit on this one, Nick, but Vaughn wants to know, how do you mix the oils together? And essentially, Jill said by hand. They're weighed out and they're manually mixed. It's like done actually by a person, by hand,
Yeah.
weighed out on a scale, mixed.
Yep, by hand. And so we have just large flasks, large Pyrex, borosilicate glass flasks. And those guys, we have smaller glass flasks that we total everything up in and get them into larger glass vessels. But I mean, everything it then goes into sanitary plastic storage. Just from from an air barrier standpoint.
Okay. And then, do you have a giant autoclave to help sanitize? Is that something that you guys do?
No, so everything that we would use that would go in autoclave, we actually opt mostly for some single-use sanitary lab, single-use stirrers, transfer siphons, things like that. Anything that would need to get autoclaved is typically a small orifice type of a device, and we don't use enough of it to justify an autoclave, and we also don't use enough of it to make us feel bad for using disposable versions of those devices. So if we're using transfer flasks, things like that, we use single-use lab, rip off the paper backing and plastic, use them, toss them.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And Zach says, do you weigh out to an individual bottle? No, Zach. There's no small batch company that should ever do that. It would be impossible to have any kind of consistency if you were going bottle by bottle with the products. Maybe at like the very beginning when you're just kind of feeling out the process. But no, do you have any estimate on what kind of batch sizes you guys are doing at a run, Nick?
We don't do anything smaller than a gallon for
Okay.
sure. Even, but as far as bases go, it's much, even it's larger than that. But as far as like even like experimental products, I think the smallest we really scale anything these days is the gallon. Otherwise, it's just not really viable. Even from like just a labeling standpoint, we can't really buy anything less than a couple, like 250 labels. So really doing anything less than 2 gallons, we end up even wasting labels. So it's like we really try not to do much under 2 gallons, even if it's like an extremely limited release.
Okay. All right. And Ryan says, we as in wife and I as in ambassadors. Okay. So the opposite. Nick's spot, and he says, have a hand in production of products. Apology for not specifying. So I think it's the opposite there. He's like saying, can they be ambassadors on the aspect? Probably. I think you guys, especially the production crew, is pretty set right now. And
Yep.
then who knows in the future, just stay involved, I would say.
Yeah.
Stay active in the
Stay
community.
involved. We always throw it out there when we need help of any kind like that. And like whenever we reopen up any kind of like early tester kind of programs or things like that, we need more kind of a sample area. We always let people know as well. So just stay tuned, because those things do happen where we reach out and say, hey, we need opinions on this, or we need help with XYZ.
Usually on this show specifically, you guys.
Yeah. Yep. This is always where we do that for sure.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, it went by very fast, and it is time. We are over time here, and man, I appreciate Nick. If you guys have any questions, this video is going to end. The comment section will be available. please leave your comments. I know that Dr. Nix will get back to you. They also have an Instagram that you guys can be as active as you want. And a lot of this stuff behind the scenes is shown on the Instagram. They have videos of the industrial fridges and freezers for the butters. They show Jill mixing products. They show tester scents being made. There's so many cool, satisfying. There's butter being made. Like, it's amazing. Go check out the Instagram if you guys don't mind. And Toll Booth Willie says, great tour. Thank you guys. We appreciate that. And Bucky says, thanks for the tour, Nick and Jill. Awesome.
Heck yeah,
all
guys.
around. All right,
Heck
Nick.
yeah.
Final words for our friends on this really cool field trip type day.
Oh man, well thanks for walking around with us, and thanks for finding where we spend all of our time every day and can't wait to get home sometimes. Thanks for finding it exciting, and because I think like seeing it through other people's eyes probably like, you know, it makes it more interesting, right? You walk through it and it's like, yeah, everyone thought this was pretty cool. You know,
100%.
gives you a little sparkle back to the mundane. But no, thanks for that. But just like they say at the end of every good MTV Cribs episode, thanks for hanging out. Get out of my house.
All right, guys. Have an amazing week. Stay